I got it circled there.
They're not ready.
6 o'clock, I will call this regular school board meeting to order. Binder labeled public copy of materials is at the table at the front. There's also available online at rps.org. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Tim is on vacation and roll call Burdell is on her way to Minneapolis. So we just got the 5 of us tonight, let the record show. Agenda, we have one deletion, 8.6. We'll take that one off. And with that edit.
I would like,
Go ahead.
I have 124.3. I would like to discuss,
Okay, we'll do that in the consent.
pardon?
We'll do that in the consent agenda?
Yes, the consent agenda.
Okay, all right.
4.3.
Okay, well, with that other edit on the main agenda, can I get a motion to approve? Motion.
So moved.
Motion by Westby,
Support.
by Lager, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Recognition of visitor input. I didn't have anybody sign up. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Anybody in the back row would like to speak? No, we're good. Good, all right. All right, moving along, consent agenda. You want to pull 4.3 for discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Any other change in polls or anything like that? You want to talk about it now?
I think that's it.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 4.3?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Lodiger, second by Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 4.3?
I'd like, it's got all the coaches and their wages and everything, but I'd like to make a motion that, the activities director post the girls' hockey coaching position, because it was never posted. And I just think that this board should be responsible to make sure that we have equity and opportunity for all who would be interested in that position. So I would like to make a motion to have that posted.
I can support that.
Okay. We take action? Or you can just not approve this, I suppose, huh?
Well, you can take action on the rest.
I'll
And
make a motion to approve all the rest other than the girls' head hockey coach. And again, to follow up with what Jennifer said, just to post that, because it was listed as interim, and I just think it's cleaner to do it that way.
Yeah.
And, maybe there's only one applicant, maybe not, but it's just cleaner, I think, and more appropriate since it was listed as interim.
Okay. So, motion by Lodiger, and you support, did somebody support?
I can say support.
Okay, you support that? We're in discussion, I'm on the activities committee, we talked about this at length, and, Cassie did a great job last year, got us to the section final game. She's a college hockey player, this isn't an easy job to fill. We had problems with, I don't know how many other coaches beforehand, so, I was very confident in, removing the interim label and making her the head coach, so,
And I just want to be clear that it has nothing to do with performance in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it was listed as interim.
Okay.
And I feel like it should be posted because of that.
okay.
Just
So
has nothing to do
consistency.
with job performance, just so that I'm clear.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. No. Motion passes 3-2. Reports, update on busing for school athletics. It's about bus.
Evening, board members. Last board meeting, I was sitting at home when you started discussing things, so I ran on down here, but I wasn't quite fast enough. So I know that you had some questions that you wanted to talk to me about.
Well, we want to talk about the coaches, the coach buses that,
Okay.
you know, and I was just wondering if there was some way we could be creative on, you know, getting some other bus drivers or retired bus drivers to do those. And on the last, in the agenda, or the last one, they were all during the day. You know, there wasn't on a Saturday for the buses.
Right.
The coaches that you had to hire. And so it seems like maybe there's a conflict because the bus drivers are driving the kids in the morning and the afternoon.
It is exactly the conflict that we're running into.
Right.
All of the school districts have this to some extent, and we were pretty much exempt from it until about 2 years ago. I never hired coach buses ever to do our runs. We just started to get hit last year and the year before with shortages of drivers. Now, the problem that we have is we have so many more trips. Tuesdays and Thursdays tend to be the busiest for sports.
Sure.
Wednesdays not so, because they're still a little bit into the religious education, so there isn't really a lot going on Wednesdays. Saturdays, we have our own people available. Mondays and Fridays, they're not quite as busy as Tuesday and Thursday, but they're getting there. It is not inconceivable that on a Tuesday, we would have, if you take just what happened here in May, a track meet on Tuesday. So track needs 2 buses for varsity. Then junior varsity is going maybe somewhere else, they need a bus. Girls softball, baseball, golf usually takes Suburbans, they don't take a bus, but maybe tennis. I mean, we can have actually 5 buses going, and we just don't have the people to do that. We're in a position where we can't really take the janitors out of the school that are working the afternoon shift and send them on these trips when nobody else is available, because they have an afternoon route. So if they're not here, they can't drive the afternoon route. That's kind of the quandary we're in. The nice thing is that we did, right at the end of the school year, 2 to 3 weeks before, I hired actually 4 new people. 3 are part-time, 1 is a full-time janitor. We got our license, so we're good there. So that's gonna take a little relief off. If you've noticed, just in those last 3 weeks, we didn't order as many buses. I would much prefer to pay our employees than someone else.
Yeah, because it seems like, you know, like that budget for the coach buses, you know, it's like $100,000.
The coach buses are more expensive. It depends though. If the boosters are requesting a coach bus, they pay 60% of that. So we got, I had Sandy look up some numbers on it. So on coach buses that we had to get, because the boosters required them, the boosters paid us about $31,000 back for those buses.
Okay.
But there's still a lot of trips that we had to fill with coach buses. And really the only place we can actually get them out of is like LCS, because Schubot is now doing all of Hibbing's busing
Okay.
in the school bus sense too.
What does it cost for our school for taking a school bus to a meet?
Okay, every year that changes. This year it was $3.45 a mile. I've seen it as high as $4.65 a mile.
Oh, this is what LCS charges you?
Oh, no, that's what our school bus.
Our school bus.
The cost for our school bus.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, coach buses can be hire. I usually don't get coach buses. I ask for school buses because they have school buses too. But their school buses are doing the same thing down in Proctor Duluth area there, and they don't have the numbers of school buses that they need to do it because school buses are cheaper than coach buses. So every once in a while, because we are affiliated with their North Star Transportation, they own that, where our special ed kids are on.
Yeah.
They give us a break on the price of the coach bus. So
Okay.
So do we have enough buses, just not enough bus drivers?
we have enough buses. Yes, we have enough buses to do it. All we have to do is leave a few behind, so if there's a breakdown going home, that we have that to cover.
I mean, I was thinking that, could we give an incentive, like $100 for a retired bus driver to do just the transportation for sports? Is there something that we could do?
You can offer, I've talked to other school districts to see what they're doing. Some have incentive programs for employee incentive program, referral. $500 referral employee.
Oh, sure.
If they stay with the school district, if they get licensed, then they stay with the school district so long the employee who referred them gets a referral. You could do something like that if you wanted to. We're constantly in the paper, and I know that you wanted that budget cut down a bit. So we do it usually on weekends. We have a bus in Parkview parking lot right now, and we've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
And usually we usually picked up 2 or 3 people because of that. Last summer, we didn't pick up anybody because of that. So what are people doing now? I don't know. It's a very good paying job.
I just think the expense for the coach buses is just extreme, and I just wish we could avoid it and come up with
If I
something.
could avoid it, I absolutely would. The only way to do it is to cut some of the trips if that's what you would choose to do. Because there are quite a few trips that, the teams are bigger. For instance, track, I think there are 120 kids or so, something like that.
It's a big-
Where we always used to take one bus to track. We don't do that anymore.
Sure.
Would you ever pose a question to to the coach of a softball team, whatever, say, hey, it's either rent a coach bus or you guys, parents transport, is that an option?
That is something that the board could do. I've never posed that to a parent.
Yeah,
I know Josh on short trips, for some of the short trips like to Mountain Iron, if it's 7th and 8th grade, he might say, you know what, it's short, parents take them.
yeah.
And he's done that a couple of times.
Have you run into problems with like afternoon shift parents or stuff like that? No?
No. I've talked to some of the school bus, I wanted to get information for you, so I have talked to some of the school districts. Everybody is still busing, that I can tell, is still busing junior high sports. Except for the exception of Proctor, they have a 40-mile limit around, they won't bus within 40 miles. So if they're going to Duluth East or Cloquet or something, parents have to bring them. So that's
I
kind of
think
what.
Proctor is
what I
exclusively
understand.
coach bus.
I'm sorry?
I think Proctor is exclusively coach. I mean, they take coach buses from Proctor to Superior. I see them all the time on baseball.
Yeah,
They're exclusively LCS coaches.
yeah.
I would think that there's some sort of insurance liability too, wouldn't you? With asking parents to transport if they're,
I think it's kids. If we have kids driving kids, that's an issue. I don't think it's parents. I think if I remember right.
If the board wants to go in that direction, we would just have to probably come up with some kind of a document that the parents would sign off of, acknowledging that they are self-transporting. Schools do this occasionally. Your activities director did not put this in the budget as part of the 125,000, but you could. We could take a look at it and come back to a recommendation to you later on if that's what the board wanted.
And I know that you asked Josh, what was the cost of busing junior high sports? at the last board meeting. And that number is about 29.4 for the spring sports.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was for all year. It was for all year, including the spring sports.
Okay.
So that's about what it was last school year.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you.
I just wish we could come up with something creative and not have to, hire the coach buses.
Would it be, I guess, out of the question to ask, LCS or North Star to have a bus, locally in Evelyn for us instead of bringing one from Duluth?
They had talked about that. They are talking about doing that. So, yeah, they are talking about it. I don't know if they're still gonna move forward with it or
Yeah,
not.
not a coach, even a school bus and say, hey, you catch a couple of rides a week or something,
Right,
might be a lot more affordable than a coach from Duluth.
right. And, I mean, that's why we tried to get away from it, because before the consolidation, Evelyn was, Brown Transportation was doing 3 of their routes daily, mornings and afternoons.
Sure.
And then when we consolidated, we were able to take those 3 routes, I consolidated them to cut that expense down, so.
Okay.
So if we had 5 more bus drivers, we wouldn't have this problem maybe? It's because it's the bodies, it's not the buses.
It's the amount of drivers, yes, yes, yeah.
So if we could come up with hiring, I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, trying to get somebody hired here. It's hard to get them.
Do we advertise just strictly for sporting events, bus drivers to bring kids to sporting events?
I do not.
Or, okay.
Yeah, you could even have a casual bus driver, right? That would be
Yeah.
casual, just
I
doing
wonder if that
sporting.
would be an option to do something like that rather than advertising.
We have
Bus
had-
driver
we
/
had-
custodian.
Yeah, we've had some casual drivers. I still have a casual driver. But they come in and fill in when she can, because she works for US Steel. She left it 2 years ago, but she kept her license, and when she's not working, she will come in and fill in for somebody so that they can go on a sports trip.
Oh.
Okay? It's more difficult to get a casual to do a sports trip because the union does not want that. So, they don't have a problem. It just depends on how it falls. They don't have a problem with them filling in,
Sure.
so.
I saw the ad on Sunday, I think, or Saturday's paper, it was just part-time drivers, so.
Right.
If you maybe switch the ad up, like you said, maybe you could hook a couple, who knows?
Yeah, we're looking for part-time drivers, morning and afternoon. We've got a couple who, a few years back, didn't want to do both morning and afternoons. We let them cut back to just mornings, but they don't want to come in and do trips. And so we kind of did not do that any longer.
Sure.
No, maybe there's, a lot of people laid off here, maybe to get some more applicants, who knows?
Yeah, that would be
It's
great.
possible.
Yeah,
It would be nice.
yeah.
I have an off-the-wall question here. As far as Hibbing goes, they've got Showbot doing the busing for the schools. Why is that? Do you know?
Hibbing was using, there was a company over there, it was called Tactran. And Tactran went out of business and left Hibbing with no transportation, so Shubot had to, and Shubot was doing some of theirs.
So they
had-
never had their own buses.
Hibbing hasn't had their own buses in a long time.
Okay.
And that's something that I'm taking a look at over, I told you I would take a look at this year to see if that made sense. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
anything else? No, okay.
Thanks, Bob, appreciate it, good info there. 5.2, update on special education. Stephanie.
Evening board members.
Hi.
Okay, everybody should have this on your desk. This and special education updates 5. We're going to start with this first. All right, first of all, I want to talk to you about child count data for the district. I'm going to start in the yellow first and talk about this. Take a look, this is the Rock Ridge total enrollment for the district, starting all the way from 2020 to 2024. As you can see, our enrollment, and we've talked about this before, our overall enrollment for the district is going down. However, if you look at our overall child count in special education, the green here, in 2020, we had 393 special education students. You jump 5 years later to 2024, 2025, we have 478 students this year receiving services. Our numbers have been on the increase, starting from 15.9% all the way this year to 19.6%. That tells us a lot. If you take a look at some of the categories you see up here, specific learning disability, other health disabilities, EBD, ASD, DD, developmental delay, take a look. I have highlighted, take a look at the red, which is speech or language impairment, okay? In 2020, we had 30 students with a speech and language impairment. Jump all the way now to 2024, we have 80, okay? That's a 3.3% increase. It could be due to multiple of things. We have hired some speech and language pathologists from Essentia. We could get more families, requesting services where we need to do evaluations. It could be an impact with possibility of maybe COVID. The younger students, weren't around peers and talking as much. But as of right now, our largest increase in across the district in special education is under the speech and language impairment. So we have done some hiring for it. We still need to do some more hiring. It's just they're really hard to find. But we'll continue to post and see what we can get. Another area I highlighted here is autism. 2020, we had 59 students with autism. All the way 5 years later, we have 76. Autism in the United States and all across the world is on the increase, a drastic increase. So I am so proud of this district and getting our 1404 special education programs, setting 4 up and running, because it is definitely a need, especially with our autistic students, and some of them have more severe disabilities and needs. So this setting 4 program is going to be fantastic in that area. One area I saw a decrease in was emotional behavioral disorder. That was at 2.4%. The year previous, it was 2.7%. And I'm not going to go through all of the data, but just wanted to highlight where we're at today. Key points to know: we're at 478 students. We're at 19.6% of our students are in special education. And the average around the state of Minnesota is about 19%. So we're just about 6% above with that. Any questions on this slide at all? All right. So as I just mentioned, this is just another table, a graph to help you take a look at it. Starting in 2020 to 2025, take a look at the speech and language here, and take a look at the sharp increase that we're seeing. Take a look at all the other area was ASD, and then the orange, take a look. And that was also a spike. And as you can see, all the other disability areas remain somewhat stable over the years. So that's just another visual for you to see. Great, if you could click on the 1404 building plan. All right, if everybody could go ahead and take out the floor plans for the 1404 building right in front of you. All right, I put on your copy, it says front of the building. So front of the building is right here and the stadium is facing this way. So as you can see, we have the entrance over here. And we also have doors going into our other open space for future planning. We've talked about that. But we're not, some of that space can be utilized. Maybe if some students wanted to play with some balls in that area, it's just there isn't a lot in there for right now. But we did plan to open it up so we have access to the other side of that building. So this whole side here is all going to be the special education programs, setting for, and like our Bridge to Independence, our 18 to 22 year old program. So as we come in, here is the lobby. There's an office here for the SPED secretary in pink. And this area here, let's see, I'll just point, it's better. So this is my office, and I put a very large table in there because there'll be a lot of meetings in here. So as we go along, this area here is our life skills lab kitchen that can also be used as our cafeteria where students can eat in. We have some bathrooms here. If you look at your key at the bottom, we've got some bathrooms over here and a staff bathroom here. And then if we take a look to your left here, this is your 18 to 22 year old program. And right now the Northland Learning Center is calling their program the Bridge to Independence. As a district, we will come up with our own name for these programs. But as you can see, we've got a learning area here and here, and we also have a breakout area in this other room. So that's the 18 to 22 program, and then they'll also learn a lot of life skills such as cooking, and then laundry. Just to back up a second here, there's a washer and dryer here as well, so students will be utilizing and learning some of those life skills. All right, so if we go back to the hall here, this is there's a conference room here, and it's our flex space. Some ideas I had for this room is that we could be a movie room per se. They could do some arts and crafts. As far as the movies go, they finish their work, they use it as an incentive, and they could watch an appropriate movie in this room here. So this is kind of a flex space. The area in red is the nurses' station. We probably will be able to use the nursing staff that we have already, preferably probably from the high school that will just come over. It just depends on the needs of the students that we have, but I foresee us not having to hire a nurse all day for this building. But like I said, it just depends on the needs at the time when we're ready to go. But I foresee that for us not having to hire a full-time nurse for the program. But we shall see what happens. And here's another room here. We could use it as a conference room, or a special ed coordinator could have an office right here. All right, go down the hall. This is the IT room. And then we have 4 classrooms here. We've got a set of elementary, high school, we could have elementary classrooms here, or we could have both high school here. And then one of the classrooms has a sink in it that could be used maybe for arts and crafts, or kids can rotate with some rooms. And then if we go down this way, we have a staff bathroom, and then we have another bathroom here. And then take a look at the blue areas. We have our sensory rooms. We've got a sensory room for the elementary, and we have a sensory room for the high school students. And then I have a space here for a school psychologist. And if we go down the hall here, here's just kind of your commons area. Some students can come and work out here, or maybe they just need to take a break. This is when I toured Cora, an educational setting for building in the cities. They had a lot of spaces that were kind of open like this that students could utilize. And then if you go down here, we have a big storage room. And then here's another small group activity room. Maybe students need to work on a special assignment or they just need some quiet time. And that's what this room is here. So if we come back and go around the other way, this is the staff lounge break room. We have a space for a special ed administrator or dean. That is possibly an office there. And then we have the large motor area. And this is where we would have a big swing. We could have other game tables. So far, are there any questions about?
How many level 4 students do we have right now that are at the NLC?
Yes, we have over 40.
Over 40.
Yes. And we don't know for sure how many of those students are going to stay, or some of them might want to stay with their teacher they already have, and then some may possibly come to us. So that's a really good question, and we'll be diving more into that this next school year and finding out the plans of families and who's going to come over. So when I need to I need to staff it for the upcoming school year.
Sure.
It won't cost us, if not everybody comes over, that's not a big deal because then we won't have to hire as much and we can plan our time building it up. So, yeah, it won't be any additional, cost for us. Any other questions about what the building looks like?
Okay, that's good stuff.
Want to get me back?
Sure.
So thank you. All right, so let's go back and talk a little bit about the timeline. You want to go back one? I think you did one. Yep, thank you. All right, so this is 1404 building, House Anderson. They've already submitted some plans. I believe there's a school board meeting July 14th that they're gonna submit some things to you then. And then it looks like there's going to be things to come to you in at the board meeting in September. And then to get approval, and then bids for that space will be going out the 15th through September 15th through October 3rd. And then board approval on October 13th. Construction will start around October 27th. And then hopefully in May, everything will be done, if not before then. The remodel will be completed and then we can have our community open house celebration. So that's the timeline. And this came from Kraus Anderson, the timeline. So any questions at all about what it looks like, next steps as far as the building goes? All right, timelines for the 1404 special education programs. June 30th, 2026 is our last day with the Northland Learning Center. They'll be providing services to us. I did submit to them a formal letter on June 16th. By email and certified mail, they did receive it. So we had to give them notice by the end of the month. So Dr. Schmidt and myself had signed that letter and we gave official notice to them just so we can plan and they can plan as well. So that was received. In September and October of 25, we will have a community meeting about the 1404 special education program. We'll communicate with families, students, and school staff. November is where we're gonna be diving into student enrollment and staffing needs. Reaching out to families, how many of those students from the NLC are going to be coming over if decisions are made, not made. I've heard some things that students possibly are gonna be staying, some may be coming here, but we'll have communication with those families and students so we can get an idea about staffing. So that's in January, we're gonna start posting for jobs for the upcoming school year. We need a school psychologist, early childhood special ed coordinator, another speech and language pathologist, an occupational therapist, secretary. We'll need some teachers for that 1404 building, some paraprofessionals, either a coordinator or a dean of students. Like I said, with a nurse, possibly not, given if we could work something out here where they can just come over for a while to disperse medications, but we'll see. We'll need custodial services. And remember now, we're already paying the NLC a lot of money to cover for some of these positions already. So these are not new positions. Even for being a part of the NLC, we're paying for a director, we're paying for coordinators, we're paying for the psychologist, OT, PT. So understand that there's not a lot of additional money because we're already paying the NLC for that already. So, and I'm very cognizant about our budget and where we're at.
Have we had discussions for sharing, school psychologists, speech and language, OT with like Hibbing?
Yes.
Being they've
Glad that
had
you
all the
brought that
budget
up.
cuts as well?
Yes. So Nathan Mutzka and myself have, since the beginning of the school year, we have had at least 3 to 4 meetings already and talked about that, especially with the early childhood special ed coordinator. I've talked to them about the school psychologist, and they're really excited and willing to partner with us on some of these positions. And we may be able to help them as well if they have students that they want to send over for their setting court program as well. And then February through May, we'll, staff interviews and hiring for some of those positions. Some may get filled right away. Some we may be having to wait and see who applies. And then May, our open house for the community staff, students and families. So it's exciting, really exciting. I've heard a lot of positive things in the community about it. It's a need.
Who does your busing for this then?
We will have to contract out through Brown, not Brown, it was,
It's
North Star.
North Star.
North Star.
It used to be Brown.
Right.
Yeah, North Star Transportation.
Okay.
Any questions about the timeline for our new programs?
Looks good.
All right, to our next, take a look at the packet that I gave you. So far, I have met with one company. This is about putting a community inclusive playground outside by the 1404 building. So take a look at your front page where it shows where that playground would be. It's on the very front page. And there was an error, so it was updated. So as you can see, let's see. There's a picture of where the greenhouse would be. I don't think I have it even on here. Let's see.
Oh, that's a green.
Do you want to click the link?
Sure.
To see if there was, thank you. Thank you. All right, so take a look. So here's our 1404 building. Here's the front of the building. That's okay. Okay, so this is where the field is right here. This is the parking lot. This is the 1404. So the community inclusive playground would be right here. And then our greenhouse that we've talked about would be right here. Okay, and this isn't just a playground for the Rockridge district. It's a community inclusive playground for everybody. There's very few community inclusive playgrounds in the state of Minnesota. And I will show you what I mean by this. I'm just gonna back up a second. Could you bring me back?
The slide.
Yep, bring me up. So a community inclusive playground, whoops. All right, is a recreational space designed to be accessible and enjoyable for children and adults of all abilities, including those with physical, sensory, and cognitive disabilities. And like I said, across the whole state of Minnesota, there is very few inclusive playgrounds. Right, if you want to click on the link again, please. Okay, as you can see, what inclusivity means is if the children had a walker or a wheelchair, that they would be able to access some of the pieces of equipment. I'm just gonna kind of skip ahead where you can see some actual good visuals. All right, so this area here is our outdoor learning center. There's a whiteboard, there's some seating out there. So basically it's your outdoor classroom. If you take a look at this spot here, we've got some tables and there's some spaces for shade. This here is called a sensory dome. This is highly utilized by all students, but especially those students with autism. There's over 27 different activities that students could do on this sensory dome. And then this round saucer is inclusive too, because all students would be able to use it. And I'll get some other. And then this area here, you can see at the top, there's a child in a wheelchair. They're able to access the ramp and then go all the way up. Can you move it up just a little bit? Perfect, thank you. All right, and as you can see here, we've got some swings. And a student in a wheelchair could be put on this round saucer, and kids with autism also like the swinging, and these saucers are really popular. We've also got some safety harnesses, and our other playgrounds that we have right now have this as well, right here. And then we just have some regular swings here, and then these are some toddler swings. So if a family was going to come to the playground, they have a little one, this playground is all the way from toddler all the way through age 22 and up.
Is the green, is that turf or is it grass?
Yeah, it's turf.
Turf.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's just like at North Star. What do they call that specialized turf that you have at North Star? What's that called?
The rubberized floor.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember.
Turf, isn't it?
Yeah,
What?
I just call it the rubberized flooring.
Right, yeah, it's a. So this kind of gives you an idea. These are some sensory things that can be added. As you can see, there's some ramps. And then this is that sensory dome right here. All right, any questions about,
Is this,
oh, and just to let everybody know, we do not have the money for this. This has to come from grants, donations from the public. Maybe somebody, like we have in all of our schools, especially in the high school, we could name it after somebody. So this is just something that we do not have the money for.
Have we applied for grants for this?
Not yet, so if you wanna go back to my slideshow, I'll show you the plan for this. So this is one, the Conpan, is one design for inclusive playground. We're also getting, I met with landscape structures who did the playground at North Star, and they're gonna have a plan to me within a week or two. So in July, Conpan is working on pricing for me. So far, some of the pricing that's came in from Conpan is between $850,000 and up for that. And not all of the pricing has been in because the majority of the pricing is taking, is preparing the turf. It's not the above ground stuff, it's the below ground and taking out the parking lot area that's already there. But we could get some bids from local contractors, maybe to help lower the price, or if there's some local contractors wanted to, volunteer their services to us, or donate, materials to us for that. We need a fence that goes all the way around that structure. So July, we should get pricing back from landscape structures and the plan so I can share with you. August, the plan is that once I have all the pictures, the specifics, what everything is going to cost, that I can develop a plan for fundraising and donations and then work with Willie as well on trying to get the money for that. And then September through May, grants, fundraising, and donations. And this is a big wish that I have, but it would be fantastic if all the money was raised by spring, so we could have it put in this next spring of 2026, where we have the grand opening with our new building. So that's a wish that I have, so fingers crossed. But that's, Any questions about inclusive playground? All right, I wanted to welcome some of our new special education staff, introduce them to you. Ethan Stakovich is going to be working at the high school, setting 3 ASD multi-categorical. Hannah Hellender is going to be a special ed teacher at Parkview. Laura Bakhtiari is going to be early childhood special ed. And Jordan is our new occupational therapist. And Roxanne Carter-Wyatt is going to be our new speech and language pathologist. So far as we transition, these are our new staff members. And remember, a majority of the funds that we're paying, we've already paid the NLC and we're no longer paying them for some of these positions. So it's not a new hire to us. Majority of the teachers would just be something that we're not paying the NLC for. For example, Jordan, the occupational therapist. Sure. We're not paying the NLC for an occupational therapist. We've hired our own. So, any questions about that? Staffing for next year so far.
Where will Jordan be, where will her office be, or her?
Parkview.
In Parkview, okay.
Yep. All right, this year, I had started the Special Education Advisory Council. This is something that districts have to do. It's state statute that you have to have your own advisory council. We're still under the umbrella with the Northland Learning Center, and they have their own council. But I wanted to start ours early this year because I wanted to get feedback from them. And the purpose of the Special Ed Advisory Council is to help guide and decision make with special ed programs. So these are all the people that applied. We have some teachers, we have a principal, we have parents, we have mental health professionals on this list, and we have representatives from all the buildings across the district. that are helping guide us and make decisions for the district. Any questions about our Special Education Advisory Council? We meet once a month. And we're meeting throughout the summer too. Right.
So is the 1404 building fully funded now for the special education and remodeling?
We have the funds spread out over 2 or 3 years. 2 for sure, we may need to go into third year. And when I say that, using funds from this past year and then the 1 year coming up. So, yep, you do. We'll just have to, Andrew will have to pay it off over a couple of years.
Thanks, Steph.
Yeah, any other questions?
Any questions for us, Stephanie?
Nope.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
5.3 Superintendent Report, Dr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Director Yuhan. 2 positive things to update the board on. The one is that we were successful politically in changing state law to allow consolidated districts, the boards, to one time and one time only to renew a referendum levy. Previously, that had not been the way that the lawyers were interpreting the law. So we went down and worked with the folks down there and were successful in changing that. Special thank you to our area politicians because that helped quite a bit. They really did. Also, your lobbyists. And so we've changed it. So now all consolidated districts in the state of Minnesota will now have the same rules to go by as the rest of the districts, which we think is fair. Second thing to update you on, and this just happened, your high school is a finalist for probably the biggest architectural design award in the nation. The James McConnell Award, you are one of 4 finalists. The 4 other 3 schools are one's in Portland, one's in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, and the other one is in Seattle. So there's a process to go through, and then they make the announce the award in the end of October. So congratulations. This
Very
doesn't
cool.
happen very often, but this is probably the biggest learning designed award you can possibly get in the world of architecture. So those are the 2 things just want to update the board on right now.
That's super.
Very good.
Yeah, very neat. Okay, thank you for that. 5.4, the Treasurer's Report. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
A motion by Director Bonner,
Second.
second by Director Westby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Policies, third and final reading on 6.1 through 6.12.
I'll make a motion to approve, do a blanket approval.
Second.
Motion by Lotiger, second by Westby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Policies, 7.1, .2, .3. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lotiger, support by Yuhan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Consider approval of the 25-26 budget. Andrea.
Good evening, board members. I'm here tonight to ask for your approval for the budget that you have in front of you. This is for the fiscal year 25-26 as presented. This, by state statute, we need to approve a budget by June 30th of this year for the following fiscal year. In the budget projections, enrollment was used by the board approval of February 10th meeting using the less aggressive progression method. Fund 7 and 47 changed due to a movement of the OPEB payment, which is the other post-employment benefit bond payment. I corrected it from Fund 7 to 47. So that was just a correction that I made from the last one you had 2 weeks ago. I also made another adjustment to Fund 4, and that affected Fund 1 in regards to the VPK approximation of revenue that we would have. So I moved it from Fund 1 into Fund 4. We'd have to have a transfer later in the year. Settled contracts were taken into account for this. There's a 0% wage increase for all other contracts that aren't settled. The settled contracts are the individual work agreements and our superintendent's agreement. The athletic proposal from the June 9th meeting was taken into account in these assumptions in the budget. The reductions from the April 14th meeting of $2,487,034. And then the additional cost of the Rockbridge High School Dean at the May 12th meeting of approximately $111,000 was taken into account. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago at the June 9th meeting, we took into account the utilities. There is a difference in the bottom line due to the decrease of the $95,000 that I had previously taken into account for our property and liability insurance, which will be discussed in the next agenda item. But I had overestimated, and I'll talk about that later, but by $95,000 is what we had assumed. So I'm just asking for approval for the 25-26 budget.
Can I get a motion to approve the budget as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Lotiger, second by Bonner. Any discussion? I know this wasn't easy to do. Thank you for all the work on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.2, consider approval of property and liability 25-26 insurance. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Westby,
Support.
support by Lotiger. Any discussion?
Oh,
Oh, you wanna?
can I present a little bit on
Sure.
that? Okay.
Please do.
I mean, you can approve, but
Please do.
we should have a little discussion. So the property and liability insurance and workers' comp quotes. Per the finance committee's recommendation, the district requested quotes for the property and liability. This had not been done for many years from the previous districts just due to the construction. So since construction was ending and the builder's risk was no longer, it was time to go out and look for quotes. We had started the process in March of 2025 and received our final quote on June 18th. So it was a very long process. 2 companies decided not to quote for property and liability. As you can see noted there, it was Liberty Mutual and Hanover. We received 2 quotes. EMC is our current provider, and Wright Insurance was another quote we received. I recommend that we go with Wright Insurance and change providers at this time since their quote is lower. The quote comes in at $417,724.95. This is a decrease even from 24-25. I originally felt that there was going to be an increase for 25-26 just based on insurance trends in the market right now. They were following between 15 and 25%. I had used a 25% increase just due to everything that's been going on locally also and around the nation. So if we had the quote come in from Wright at $417,724.95.
Good.
And you budgeted 500 or something initially? Okay,
So that was a good thing.
that's good.
Very good.
Can I talk about the workers' compensation at this time, or do you want me to wait
Absolutely.
for that?
Go ahead.
So workers' compensation, we do this, we did this same process of this. This is based a lot on our payroll though too. So, and the 2 companies that brought quotes back and experience ratings were RAM Mutual and SFM, so State Fund Mutual. AmTrust, it would have packaged with Wright Insurance, but they declined to quote. So we've only received 2 quotes in this situation too. SFM came in at $97,805. RAM Mutual is $100,884. I would recommend that we choose SFM, State Fund Mutual, due to the lower cost, of course, and then also due to some things that they do have available to us, which is a hotline of 24/7 availability to complete the first report of injury. So that would cut down on some processing time and we get it in very timely manner. I also want to commend Debbie Weary on all the work she does on our workers' comp claims. It really helps decrease our experience modification. So that was really helped. She, really great. It worked on all our claims and just, it helped decrease. So we've decreased over the years since we've been Rockridge, which has really helped. SFM also has, a training center. So an online training center that will have videos for employees that we can send out. And they have an online, claims processing, which is looks like a nice processing system that we would be able to use at this time too with that company.
Wasn't this at one point, 200,000, weren't we paying at one point?
A few years ago, yes.
Yeah, so
So
we're
it
down
has
to-
greatly decreased.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a big decrease.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Kudos to our agent as well for,
Yes, it was a lot on both, policies just to go out for quotes. It was a lot, so I really am thankful that our agent was very helpful.
a lot of applications and those aren't easy to do. And-
So,
Okay. Any more discussion on that?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.3, consider approval of workers' comp 25-26 insurance.
So moved.
Do we want a presentation on that as well?
She just
Oh, we
did.
just did. We already voted on that.
I kind of combined it.
We did the first one.
Oh, I see. I'll catch up here. All right, we're good. Are we good? Or should we just,
We have to vote on
Oh, vote.
I would need
All right,
to
need a
vote on
motion.
that one too.
Yeah.
I got a motion on 8.3, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Bonner, second by Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. 8.4, consider approval of the procurement procedure of U.S. Department of Agriculture Child Nutrition Programs.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Director Bonner,
Second.
second by Director Westby. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Consider approval of the James Madison lease agreement for the NLC effective July 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2026. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lotiger,
Second.
second by Westby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Consider approval of lease between, we took that one off, I'm sorry. We're on 8.7. Consider approval of memorandum of understanding for Rockridge High School for online curriculum monitoring. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Director Bonner,
Support.
support by Lotiger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Meeting announcements. Next regular meeting is Monday, July 14th at 6 o'clock here at the Rockridge Admin Building. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Motion by Westby,
Support.
support by Lotiger. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're good.
All right.